My name is John Talty, and I have the honor of serving as the president of the board of Episcopal Charities. On behalf of my colleagues on the board and the staff of this wonderful organization, I'm also pleased to welcome you to this tribute dinner tonight. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this evening, a man whose life has been impacted by a program supported by Episcopal Charities. Thomas Edwards grew up in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Harlem. He was released from prison 9 months ago and has been participating in one of the many initiatives that Episcopal Charities supports, called the Reentry Family and Faith Circles of Support. This is a wonderful program. What it does is help formerly incarcerated return to their community by providing support for employment, housing, skill development, and personal growth. In short, it breaks the pattern of being born into circumstances most of us can barely imagine. Thomas is currently employed at Exodus, where he's a project manager with 16 to 21-year-olds. He's extremely humble, full of gratitude, genuine and wise. It's an incredible story. We hope you'll be as moved by it as we were when we first heard it. Thomas, we're so delighted to have you here this evening. I'd like you to come up here. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Edwards.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Thomas Edwards, and I'm honored to speak here tonight. Many of you will know that the Episcopal Charities support programs that support incarcerated men and women, as well as programs that support their families, and also programs that support the formerly incarcerated and coming back to the community. The Reentry Family and Faith Circles of Support is one of those such programs in East Harlem, a project that works to enhance the role of faith and family in the reentry process. When I had the opportunity to be a part of the Circles of Support leadership and public speaking project, Raising My Voice program, I jumped at the opportunity, though at the time I didn't realize I would connect with so many caring people. Therefore, it's a special pleasure for me to be here with you tonight. And even more so, because I recall the day that I died. No, it wasn't when I was 16 and 2 drug dealers tried to force me into a car at gunpoint. And it wasn't when at 19, my crime partner and best friend was shot and killed after we robbed a bank. Nor was it years later when I was shot 3 times sticking up a drug spot. I survived those things. And I say survive because I died when I was 9 years old. And my stepfather taught me that there was no safe place for me. Not the home, not the police, not school, anywhere. He taught me consistently with violence that he used against me and my family. And that's when I died. And from that point, I spent more time in the street than at home and at school. The street became the place of my education. It was safer than home, and it was where I learned the things that I would do later in life. At 3, 4 in the morning, there are no social workers, no school teachers out. But robbers, con men, and prostitutes are. And they became my circles of support, the only support I knew, the only support I had. Unlike the positive circles of support that many people here help provide, my support was negative and eventually led me to a life of crime. At 14, I knew how to survive on the streets. At 17, I was an armed robber, carried a gun more times than not, and was comfortable with that life. And with a 6th grade education, I believe I had found my calling. So I thought. Eventually, that lifestyle led to me being fortunate enough to receive a sentence of 21 years to life in prison. And yes, I said fortunate. That day, 2 people died. I only went to prison. And of course, once in prison, I did what I always did, crime. I didn't volunteer to go to prison. I surely didn't volunteer to change my life. But at some point, during my time in prison, change happened. A few months after my mother's death, it came to me. I should have been a better son, therefore a better man. And I realized I needed to make changes in my life. But what? All my life I had been a hood since I was a kid. I didn't know anything else other than the streets and how to survive. And although I didn't know what I would do, I decided what I wouldn't do, and that would be crime. I had to let go of the very things that had allowed me to survive in order to truly live. And that was the day that my evolution started. First, it started with formal education, then social service projects, raising $3,500 for a female crime victim, $6,000 for school supplies, with all the money coming from prison, within the prison, for men in the prison. And when I tell people that, they're amazed. How can you raise so much money from prison? But after all, I had a history of making people give me money. So it wasn't, it didn't amaze me at all. Seriously, I believe doing these things and providing positive leadership led to my release from prison 9 months ago. Although as blessed as I was to be released from prison, the hospitality and hope I witnessed at the Justice Center through the Circles of Support project would have been a godsend the first time I reported to parole. Instead of reporting to a bleak room with a receptionist behind plexiglass who pushed the sign-in sheet at me, it would have been a blessing to be welcomed by the faith volunteers I recently saw providing refreshments, mentorship, encouragement, and just a nice word, while offering a safe place to land for those returning from prison. It gave me, as I'm sure it gives the many men and women who report there, the feeling that we are wanted in our communities and that we have some value to add. This ministry of presence, as it is called, is made possible by the Episcopal Charities. And in closing, I want to thank them, the J.C. Flowers Foundation's Network, the Interfaith Center of New York, and the Harlem Community Justice Center for all their good work, for their partnership in the Reentry, Family, and Faith Circles of Support initiative, and for the hope they provide to all the men and women returning back to their communities. I sincerely thank you, all of you, for the very warm welcome home that you provide to so many, because it can make the difference between staying home and going back. You have created a way to make a bunch of new phoenixes. And it's all from your heart, and I thank you so much for that. Thank you.